Now moving on to arithmetic involving two or more fractions, how to multiply fractions. So for example, 9 over 8 multiplied by 2 over 3. The method is to multiply the numerators together and multiply the denominators together, then simplify if you can. So given a over b times c over d, the answer is a times c, that's the two tops multiplied, over b times d, which is the two bottoms or denominators multiplied. So the worked example, 9 over 8 times 2 over 3. We do the tops 9 times 2 gives 18. The bottoms 8 times 3 gives 24. And we simplify that to 3 over 4 or 3/4. This stage, it may be possible to do some cancelling down. And I'll show you that in a second. That helps to keep the numbers small during multiplication. Here we are cancelling down. When either the numerator or the denominator consists of a set of numbers that are all multiplied together, you can cancel down any top number with any bottom number using common factors to those two numbers. For example, here we've got 9 being multiplied by 2 and 8 being multiplied by 3, so it's multiply all the way there, multiply all the way on the bottom, so we can use this method. We see that 9 and 3 both have a common factor of 3, so divide both of these numbers by 3. Instead of 9, we divide that by 3 to give 3. Here, instead of 3, we divide that by 3 to give 1. And the other two numbers, we just write them as before. So now we've got 3 times 2 over 8 times 1. And we see that both 2 and 8 have a common factor of 2. So we can divide both of these numbers by 2. One's got to be on the top, one's got to be on the bottom for this to work. Can't do this with two numbers on the top or 2 on the bottom. But here we go. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. The other ones just get written down as they were. So 3 times 1 over 4 times 1. Now we can multiply because there are no more common factors apart from 1. We do the multiply and we end up with 3 over 4 3/4 as before. Dividing fractions. Example 9 over 8 divided by 2 over 3. The method is to turn the second fraction upside down and then multiply. Simplify if possible. So given a over b divided by c over d, that's equal to a over b multiplied by the second fraction upside down. So where it was c over d here when we had the divide, we write this the other way up, so it now becomes d over c. And then we do a multiply here instead of a divide. And we've just seen how to do multiplies. And that will give us a times d over b times c. So the worked example, 9 over 8 divided by 2 over 3 is equal to 9 over 8 multiplied by, and here it is upside down, instead of 2 over 3, I've written 3 over 2. And that's 9 times 3 over 8 times 2, which is 27 on the top, divided by 16 on the bottom. That is an improper fraction, so we can write it as a mixed number 1 and 11/16. We could do some cancelling down at this stage if it was possible using the cancelling down method, but it is not possible here. So Moving on to adding and subtracting fractions. You can only add or subtract fractions that have the same denominator. That's not the same for multiplying and dividing. We don't need the same denominator, but for adding and subtracting we do. So we may have to adjust the fractions so they do have the same denominator. If it's a mixed number, convert it to fractional form. Then find the lowest common multiple of the denominators. Use that to adjust each fraction so the denominators are the same. You then do the addition or subtraction to the numerator only and simplify or convert to mixed number as needed. An example, we've got 9 over 8 plus 2 over 3 or 9 over 8 minus 2 over 3. This plus minus sign just means we're doing either the plus or the minus. It's the same for both operations. Or the process is the same. So we're looking for the lowest common multiple of the denominators. This is it in symbol form, a over b plus or minus c over d. We're looking for something to multiply the top and bottom of the first fraction by, and then we're looking for something, it's going to be something else, to multiply the second fraction top and bottom by to give it the same number on the bottom, which is the lowest common multiple. In other words, b times m should be the same as d times n. And then we end up with a times m on the top here over the lowest common multiple, plus or minus, depending on which sign we've got, c times n over the lowest common multiple. And then we can write that over the lowest common multiple as an plus or minus cn. Bm and dn, these bottom bits here are the same and they are the lowest common multiple. So a worked example, that's a bit hard to digest, I know. 9 over 8 minus, I've decided to use the minus one here, 2 over 3. So the lowest common multiple of 3 and 8 is 24. So I need to convert both these fractions to have 24 on the bottom. For 8 to be 24, I've got to multiply it by 3. 8 times 3 on the bottom, that means I've got to multiply the top by 3, 9 times 3. Second fraction, I've got to multiply the 3 on the bottom by 8 to give 24, so I do the top times 8. And that gives me, for the first fraction, 9 times 3 is 27, 8 times 3 is 24. And I've got the minus, and then the second fraction, 2 times 8 is 16, 3 times 8 is 24. They've got the same denominator. So now I can add or subtract, in this case subtract the tops, which gives me 27 minus 16 over 24, and that is 11 over 24. I can't simplify that any further. Finding a common multiple for the bottom or denominator when you're adding or subtracting. You can always find a common multiple simply by multiplying all the numbers together. For example, if these were the bottoms of our fractions, one was 8, one was 3, and one was 11, we wanted a common multiple for all of these. We can find a common multiple simply by multiplying them all together. 8 times 3 times 11 is 264. In 264, 8 is being multiplied by 3 times 11. So 8 is being multiplied by 3 times 11, or 33. 3 is being, this one here, is being multiplied by 8 times 11. That's the other two, 8 times 11. And 11 is multiplied by the other two, which is 8 times 3. In other words, by all the other numbers. This might give you the lowest common multiple, but might not. It will be a common multiple, but it might not be the lowest. Example, given 12, 24, and 48, the above method gives 13,824, but the lowest common multiple of 12, 24, and 48 is in fact 48. and that is much easier to work with.